All right, it is time. 24-hour movie marathon begins now. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm so excited to be here today and to share with you that I am doing the 24-hour movie marathon. If you are unfamiliar with this challenge, it was created and is hosted by Ryan Chataway. Hi Ryan! And it was created back in 2012. That was its first year, and it was an invitation for film-loving YouTubers in a community-spirited way to watch films for 24 hours straight and to share their experience. And I have been following it since then, and I have been enjoying it since then, at least from the other end of watching, because I haven't done it and I've wanted to do it each and every year. But I have definitely watched a lot of videos about it and really enjoyed a lot of videos about it. And I think this year what sort of pushed me over the edge to be like, yes, this year I'm going to do it, was watching Luke of Razor Wire Reviews, his 24-hour movie marathon. Hi, Luke. And it was like, it's 4.5 hours long. 4.5 hours long! And it was so much fun to watch it live on its YouTube premiere, and people live chatted through the experience and, commented on the films and on the things, and it's an amazing video. It's an amazing video. I was like, yeah, it's not what this video is going to be, which is fine. We're all different. Yeah, so that really sort of seeing that about a month ago or so now, it just sort of pushed me to be like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, I blocked off time and I'm like, I am going to do this. This is going to be my year. Because 2012, a lot of things changed for me, especially around film. And so as much as I wanted to do it, it was hard for me to do. It was hard. It's a weird thing to say, but my relationship with film changed. What I was able to do around film changed a lot, and so I haven't been able to figure out the new way of things. So that really was a huge stumbling block, and I know on this channel I mostly talk about books, although I do talk about TV and art and other stuff, but mostly talk about books. So people probably don't know that I actually had my own film website, and I had a newsletter before I had a website, and I even was very involved in the world of film for a long time. So and I never stopped loving film. I just sort of stopped being able to not appreciate it. Just, as I said, my relationship with film changed. So anyway, this year, I just want to jump back in to embracing the love of film, and this felt like a good way to do that. So here I am doing that. So this is going to be, the challenge itself, I think initially was to watch films for 24 hours straight. And I think over the years that has morphed into watching films for 24 hours over a couple of days. And I know for me, because of health challenges, I have to be careful of doing too much and too little and all this kind of stuff. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to watch 24 hours worth of film. That's going to be my goal for this, and I'm hoping to do that over 4 days starting today. So this is going to be day 1, and so I will create some kind of visual thingy, which I won't put up here because I don't know how to do that, but I will share it, in other parts of the video, and I'll create some kind of something in my bullet journal or something to put on my fridge to fill in or X out, or because I like to fill things in and I like to color things in. So I will do that as my tracker for getting to 24 hours worth of film. And so I also thought I will share the challenges here, just in case you're unfamiliar with what the challenge is. Ryan has provided basically prompts to help craft your to be watched list. So let's look at the challenges. The first challenge is to watch a film with your favorite film in it. Your favorite actor or actress. The second challenge is to watch a classic that you've never seen. The third challenge is to watch a film that you haven't seen since childhood. That one has been hard. Number 4 is a speed bump, to watch a film by one of your favorite directors that is considered a flop, and this can be a box office flop or a critical acclaim flop or just your friends and family think it's a flop. You get to determine what a flop means. Number 5 is in memory of, so a film that includes someone in it that was involved in the project that has passed away. Could be current, could be not current. Number 6 is to watch a film over 170 minutes long, which is more than 2 hours and 50 minutes. So anything 3 hours and more is fine. I think there's a lot that come in like just under 3. So I think it used to be 3 and now it's like just under 3. And number 7 is to watch a Best Picture nominee that didn't win. And I'm assuming this is Oscars, and although I don't know if like Golden Globes or BAFTAs or other awards, Genies, because everyone talks about the Genies. It's the Canadian Film Awards. They're actually called something else. I think now they're actually called the Canadian Film Awards. I can't remember. I haven't been following them as much as I used to, but anyway. So to watch a Best Picture nominee that didn't win, and that one has been a lock for me. I have known that film. I decided that film months ago. And number 8 is a bonus challenge of to watch a silent film or a musical. So I have some of these I have very specifically decided that I know what I want to watch. Some of them I have a variety of options in my Excel spreadsheet to choose from. Some of them I do not know what I'm going to watch. I think there's 2 that either I don't like any of the things that I've chosen so far, like I don't feel pulled to any of the things I've chosen so far, or there's one category that I'm like the very few things I can think of. I'm just like, they're just not. So anyway, so I'm going to have to do some, have the level of discernment on some choices there. But it's really, I'm just so excited about this. I think these are great parameters. I'm really excited about several of the choices, especially the best Oscar or the Best Picture nominee, because actually not having been following film means there are tons of options and tons of like lucrative options for me for that one. I'm like, ooh, do I want to watch this? Do I want to watch this? I know what I want to watch for that one. Like, and one of the other things that I'm going to try and do for this, because this will be vlog style, so I'll come back and show what I'm going to watch, and then come back and show a reaction, and then hopefully have some interlude stuff to break things up and make it more interesting and all that, and just be interesting. Not, you know what I mean, vlog style. But I also hope to watch some films in different ways. So I tend to watch mostly stuff on Netflix, although I have lots of movies on DVD or Blu-ray. But there are other ways to watch stuff. You can rent stuff from Google Play here in Canada. You can rent stuff from Google Play or from iTunes. I'm sure other video on demand services too. And there's also other options like lending services. The Toronto Public Library has through the Toronto Public Library, you can borrow stuff from both Hoopla and from Canopy, and they have a really great selection, and it's free, and you get 8 free rentals a month, and like, that's tons. Like, Hoopla also has graphic novels and music, and I read a lot of graphic novels that way, but Canopy is just film, so, and they have like Criterion, like not the whole catalog, but they have a lot. So I'm going to also try and share a little bit about some of those, maybe a little bit of just how I'm watching those, and for myself, as a sort of, I think we can get stuck in our habits, and so we go to the things that are easier or most frequently used, and like there's lots of other options out there. So I'm going to hopefully try and see things a variety of different ways, just as a reminder, hey, you can, it's not that hard, or is it? I don't know. Maybe I'll have a stumbling block at some point and be like, actually, it is that hard. But anyway, so I'll hopefully share a little bit about that kind of stuff. If you're interested in like those particular services, let me know, and maybe I could do videos about them. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. So anyway, oh yeah, and I might actually get out to the theater, which will be very exciting, because I don't get to get out to the theater very often. And especially given that it's like November. We've had some snow, none that's stuck on the ground, but it is, and I have to find my winter jacket before I go out for groceries today, because it's like 2 Celsius out there. Yeah. Okay, happy times. I will come back and share more stuff, and I'm hoping to watch at least 2 movies today, and we will see how things go. 24-hour movie marathon officially begins. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back in a moment. So I'm off to a bit of a rocky start already, because I found my winter jacket, and I found my winter scarf, and I found some winter-ish gloves. They're not the warmest things, but I mostly get my hands on my pockets. But I did not find a toque, and I need a toque. So yeah, I think I might have to pick up a toque and then pick up my groceries, and then I will come back and get settled and watch my first movie. So toque mission is on. Yeah, 1 feels like -4. Definitely need toque. Definitely need toque. It's definitely cold out, so I am definitely going to buy a toque before I pick up groceries. All the toque options. Ooh, I might go with that one. Oh, it's so hot. Oh, this one is great, but behind it was this one. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm going for. I think that's definitely a Shannon hat. Snowing. So this actually might be the first proper snowfall of the year. As far as I can see, it's actually sticking to the ground a little bit, and I don't think it's going to get any warmer, so it might actually be snow today. Maybe. It's sticking. It is sticking. We shall see if it stays, or is it passing fancy. I think I have everything I need for a 24-hour movie marathon, except for, including, not dirty dishes. No one needs to see that. I did pick up a Google Play card, so that should get me 2 to 3 movies. They're usually $5 each. So we'll see. And yeah, and I got my toque. I'm very happy with my toque. So got to put this stuff away and make some lunch and then get to my first movie. All right, I am now settled in and ready to watch my first film. I have my lunch here. I got some croissant sandwiches with turkey and some carrots and some grapes and some coffee, and I am going to start things off with the pick for a film I have not seen since childhood. This is not an easy pick, especially as coming from someone who loves rewatching movies, and I did get a couple of suggestions. There was 2 that were really in the running, but unfortunately I couldn't get them, or they aren't available for rental. And I couldn't order them in time. One of them I'm not sure if it's even available, so unfortunately Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo is off the table. That is definitely something I have not seen since childhood. I have Breakin 1, but I rewatched it, so it didn't count. And my sister Jamie recommended watching Sleeping Beauty because she knows that is likely the first film that I saw in the theater, but it's not available for rental. Didn't have time to buy, so I was looking through options, and I was looking through Hoopla, and I noticed something that I have not seen for a very long time, and I definitely first saw when I lived at home. I think I was not necessarily a kid. It was more old, like teen years, but definitely had a major impact on me. It is a music-related movie. It is one that follows a band of misfits. I am sure that it has lots of coarse language and probably some situations I was probably a little too young to see, and that movie is the one, the only, The Commitments. So it is time to try a little tenderness, and I am going to get started and watch my first movie, and I am looking forward to it. Okay, so I have finished film number 1 with The Commitments, and I absolutely loved it. Just like I did in the past, I absolutely loved watching it again. It's so lively. I love the premise of like getting a band together. Is always like I love movies and books and TV shows with ensembles, and this has one, and it has a great one. But it's interesting because memory is a funny thing, because I just thought this was about a group of misfits getting together kind of idea, but as I watch it, I was like, actually, that's not really what's going on. They're everyday people, yes, but they're not really a group of misfits. They all come to the band for different reasons, and they have different, I wouldn't go as far to say agendas. The only person who seems to actually have an agenda is the manager, who is the protagonist of this film. And if you're unfamiliar with The Commitments, it does follow the manager who tried to put a band together in Dublin, and it doesn't necessarily go all that well. And there's lots of strong personalities in the band, and that definitely influences and affects things. And they play a lot of gigs, and there's lots of great music, and it's just a blast. But it was interesting because watching it now, and I guess I should say that these like reviews slash reflections. They're a bit more reflections, reactions, and reviews. They won't be like spoiler filled, but they will be talking about the movie. So I am going to do that. So if you haven't seen The Commitments, then maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll put timestamps where I talk about, I don't want to put what the movies are, but maybe I'll just put like film one or at the end of film one. I'll figure out something, maybe, hopefully. Otherwise, you can just skip ahead and see if it's a different angle, and then I'll be talking about something else. But anyway, so for The Commitments, one of the things that now I can't remember what I was going to say. One of the things that was surprising is that not only are they not misfits, and they are in a certain sense, but like it's not, they don't, coming together doesn't actually serve them well. Like, to play in a band, you need to be in a band and you need to be around other people and work with other people, but they certainly don't really benefit from working together. They don't grow as people, they don't lean on each other, which are a lot of themes that happen in films that I tend to like, that are about, like, have ensemble casts or are about the arts in some way, shape, or form, is often about, how that brings people together, and people lean on each other, and people grow from each other, and they learn from each other. That is not what goes on in The Commitments. The Commitments is just, it's like, there's more tension, and there's fighting, and there's, I wouldn't say jealousy, but then people have different directions, and they change things, and like, it's just like, wow, and there's so much energy in it. And I would actually say I was surprised. One of the other surprises I had from rewatching it is that and this is going to sound a bit weird, but there is a bit less of a plot than I remembered, or than I thought about, or maybe that's not super important to me, because there's lots of music and there's lots of performances. So there is a plot, of course, of bringing the band together and then them doing performances and things changing and more performances. But like overall, like and the dynamics for the group sort of like amp up and up and up. But like there isn't a huge plot arc. Like it's not huge, and it's fine. I didn't miss it or something like that, but I just didn't really remember that until watching it this time, because I just enjoyed the music so much. And I think that's one of the other things that I realized about this one, that it makes it a bit of an interesting pick, because although I haven't seen it for many, 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 many years, I definitely had the album on cassette, because it was the 90s. I think it was, I can't remember if it was actually pre-CDs. It was, might have been right, or I can't remember exactly when CDs came in. But I didn't have a lot of stuff on cassette, but I did have this one on cassette. And because I remember what, like, I could, like, I remember that what shape the album cover was, because it was a rectangle. Like now on mobile phones, it was that shape, so that means it had to have been a cassette. Anyway, so I had that, and I knew the music, so I was waiting for different songs, and I was like waiting for Try a Little Tenderness, and like, Mustang Sally is one of the ones that they start with. So I was just looking forward to different songs and different moments, and that sort of, even though I hadn't seen the film a tons of times, I had listened to the soundtrack a lot, so I had really strong memories, and I knew and was waiting for the song. So it was kind of weird that way. Another thing a couple of things that were kind of challenging with this, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but it took me a while to settle into having my attention on the screen and watching the movie. Like, I am so used to rewatching things or watching things that, I don't pay full attention to. So like I was like doing stuff on my phone or whatever, and then I would like notice that there was like a subtle look between two people, and I was like, oh, I'm missing things. I'm missing something. What am I doing here? I'm like, right now, my focus and what I want to do is watch this movie, and I'm like, entering in what I'm eating on like my Fitbit app, and I'm like, why am I doing this? So I finished entering my lunch on my Fitbit app, and then I rewound the movie and started it again and watched it from beginning to end without interruption. So it was kind of funny that it took me a while to get settled. I'm not usually that bad for that stuff, and I do want to, and I did with this, and I do want to continue to do this, is to not break my focus when I'm watching it, including resisting looking anything up on IMDb. Because for this, there was one of the women backup singers or women singers in it was very familiar, and I kept on thinking, oh, who is that? Do I know her? I feel like I know her from something. And so I resisted doing that, and I'm glad that I did. And I'm gonna try and do that. And I'm be curious if you guys also do that. Like if you check, of course not in the theater, but like at home, do you check or do you wait? Because sometimes I don't want to break the energy, but it was like the temptation was so strong. And as it turns out, I don't know her from anything, but the guitar player is Glenn Hansard, which I was totally didn't recognize him at all, which is hilarious. If you're not familiar with him by name, he was in the film Once, which came out I think in 2007, maybe 2008, and it's a wonderful music film. Absolutely just it's one of my all-time favorite films. And it is about music and it is about the arts in a very different way than this is. In a very different way, but both really, both really have a very strong just everything, like just a really strong pull. So this was a great way to start things off. I'm not quite sure what I am going to watch next. I'm going to take a break and watch some TV and probably have some dinner, and then I will take a look at the other challenges and come back and share what I'm going to pick next. So that was the commitments. I had a blast. It was a great way to start things off. The only thing I'm worried about actually is that I enjoyed it so much that it leaves the next film a lot to live up to. Not that they have to compare to each other or anything like that. It's really hard to compete with a rewatch. But I don't know what I'm going to pick next, but when I do, I will be back and share with you my next pick. So there you go. The commitments, 2 hours in, or 1 hour and 58 minutes in, and going for more. So I have created a time tracker in my bullet journal. So here we go, 24-hour movie marathon. And it's just a simple left to right, fill up to 24. I was going to do it in 2 rows, but then I thought it would look a little confusing. I think this way it should hopefully be easy to see. I don't know. I was going to say easy to see the halfway point, but there's not any big thing at 12, but anyway, just visually is easy. Anyway, so I am going to also write a list and put the number equivalent and do the math that way. I always find adding up time can be hard because 60 minutes equals 1, and we don't have a lot of we don't have many number systems that go to 60 and then reset to 1, like seconds and hours, sure, but seconds, hours, and minutes, but like I don't know. Anyway, I always have to double check. That's why it's easy to round up and to say something's an hour and a half or an hour and 3/4 or 2.5 hours as opposed to minutes, because the minutes don't actually relate into 100. I'm just talking math here. Why am I talking math? Anyway, I'm also just going to create a list because that will be my double check. I'm not super worried that I'm going to do the math wrong or anything. I just find it easier to have this in whole numbers, I guess. And then I will have the math in minutes. I hate time math. It drives me bananas. Bananas! So anyway, I'm going to fill in my first movie, and then I'm gonna pick my next one. I don't know what to pick. I might just randomly pick something on Netflix, or pick something rather long, because I don't think I will be able to watch more than one thing tonight. It's 9, so I could, but I think I won't. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, so there is the commitments, 1 hour and 58 minutes, and I am going to just color this in just a little shy of 2 hours. I think I'll do a rainbow. So there we go, the commitments. Yay! So it took me a while to pick something. Because that happens. Anyway, finally I did decide on something, and I'm just gonna go with something on Netflix. Not something for any of the challenges, but just something to watch. And I decided to go with Hell or High Water, and this is a crime drama starring Chris Pine, Ben Foster, and someone else who's not in the picture. I can't remember. Jeff Bridges. And it's apparently a critically acclaimed movie and a Western. And it looks like, the description changed when I pressed the button, but it's been nominated for stuff. So I like Westerns. We don't get tons of them. And so hopefully I like this. I'm not always the, gritty crime isn't often my thing, but there are some really good ones out there, and I do like these actors, so I'm going to give it a chance. So Hell or High Water is going to be my next movie after I put dinner together, and then I'm gonna watch this. All right, I have my dinner, chicken Caesar salad, and time to watch Hell or High Water. I hope I like it. We'll find out. Okay, I have finished watching Hell or High Water, which I watched on Netflix, and I actually, when I finished watching the movie, I went to IMDb to look up something. I can't remember the year or something like that. Oh, the awards, right? Because one of the things that Netflix came up with this one is that it's critically acclaimed and award something. And I actually inadvertently completed one of the challenges. Because it was actually nominated for Best Picture. It's from 2016, so it was nominated for 2017, like 2017 awards, and so I knocked off that challenge, which I actually am still going to watch what I want to watch for that one because I have a very particular movie in mind, but it's just kind of funny. I had no idea that this was Oscar nominated for picture, as well as screenplay, as well as Jeff Bridges as supporting actor and film editing. I actually quite enjoyed the score and the music. The score was done by Nick Cave, and I'm a huge fan of Nick Cave. So, and he does do a lot, like he does tend to do scores for westerns. And it is a western. Although contemporary, western's one of those very strange. It's actually the only genre. It's the most finely defined genre, because it's usually set in like the Old West, but this is a contemporary Western. Anyway, not to get into genre classifications, because I could talk about that forever. So I gotta say, this one, I wasn't sure if I was gonna stick with it, and I'm gonna have to think a little bit about that, especially with some of the films I'm picking randomly, or trying to pick randomly, because I wasn't sure, because it was quite dark. It is sort of is somewhere between a crime drama and a heist film. It is a drama, even though it is a western. That it's about character, mostly, and more than what happens. And although it has a good story, the story, I don't want to say too much about the story because they really take their time with the story in terms of letting you in on what's going on and why. So I actually did enjoy the pacing, even though it was quite slow and drawn out, because it lended enough air of mystery without being too slow. I felt like I like was curious enough about the characters that I didn't mind so much that I wasn't sure exactly what was going on with the plot. It's not that it was confusing, it was just it was intentionally, a little pieces at a time. So, and I think I might have said before when I was talking about this, it stars Chris Pine and Ben Foster. They play brothers, and then Jeff Bridges plays Texas Ranger, as well as Gil Birmingham plays a Texas Ranger. I'm a fan of him. He was in Twilight. He played Jacob's dad. So yeah, so I like all of those actors. But it was a challenging watch. It is a harsher topic. Crime dramas are hard. The difference between a crime drama and a mystery is crime dramas follow the criminals, and so I find that challenging, especially depending on if you do or don't know their motivations, and um, because they're doing stuff that's illegal, and so it can be tough. I find that they can be tough to watch because it can be tough to be sympathetic to a character who's doing that. So anyway, but overall, I'm actually glad that I watched this for this challenge because I'm not sure I would have stuck it through. I might have given up on it, but because I hadn't decided if I was gonna let myself DNF stuff for this challenge, like for the 24-hour movie marathon, I decided I was just gonna stick with it. And not that it wasn't good, it was just, it's heavy, and I was like, wow, I'm not sure I want to watch something heavy, but I just decided to stick with it, and I'm glad that I did. But it was a bit of a challenging watch. I didn't feel like it was gratuitous, if that's a concern for people. There is definitely violence here, though, for sure. but it was usually pretty contained, and I thought the characters were good, and I actually really enjoyed the sibling relationship between Ben Foster and Chris Pine's character. I do often enjoy characters about siblings. I am part of a large sibling set myself, and so I do enjoy stories about that. Although this, of course, is in it's a pretty trying situation. So that was quite random, and I think it ended up going pretty well. But I can't believe I accidentally completed one of the challenges. So I guess I'm off the hook for this challenge, but I probably will still watch what I picked out, which probably won't get to for a while. I don't know if I'm going to watch anything else tonight. It's already midnight, and although I definitely can stay awake long enough to do that, I don't necessarily want to film a clip like at 2 in the morning. I could come back tomorrow and film it then, but so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. If I do, I will come back probably tomorrow instead of tonight, and I will update my hours. I was going to say read. I'm so used to talking about book stuff. Hours watched. This is 1 hour and 42 minutes, and the commitments was 1 hour and 58 minutes, so that makes 2 hours, 3 hours and 40 minutes. So that's still a lot to go. 20 hours and 20 minutes still left to watch. But one challenge is down, 2 challenges down out of 8, out of 7 plus bonus. So that's not bad. You can always slice things different ways. So there you go. Hell or High Water. I'd love to hear if you've seen it, what your thoughts are, and I'll be back with the official count. Okay, adding in 1 hour and 42 minutes for Hell or High Water brings me to 3 hours and 40 minutes, which is just shy of 4 hours, or 3 hours and 2/3 of an hour. So still 20 hours and 20 minutes to go. Okay, so it is day 2 of the 24-hour movie marathon, and I'm just doing some food prep. So I thought I would do a little vlog to introduce the day and say what the plan is. And for today, I am hanging out with my sisters. They are actually going to come over. Because the snow kept on snowing and it is quite mucky out there, it's harder for me to get around outside. So they are coming here, and we're going to watch a movie. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe A Wrinkle in Time, but we'll probably look and see what's on Netflix and see if there's anything else that pops up. I think for me, that's just be a fun one to watch with my sisters. And then I'll, tackle some other movies afterwards that are for some of the challenges. And we'll see how things go. So maybe this is going to be a very short introduction to the day. I also really just... because I don't know what else I'm going to watch. I don't know. I think one of the hardest challenges has been to pick something from one of your favorite actors and actresses, and because I haven't been following film as much recently in the past couple of years, I'm like, who are my favorite actors and actresses? So that's just kind of a weird thing to feel like I don't know the answer to that. So I do have a couple in the running. I love Charlotte Rampling, Idris Elba, Tom Hardy, Juliette Binoche, Cate Blanchett. Like there's so many people. Like I don't have Jean Reno. I'm huge, and actually Mads Mikkelsen is probably my favorite. Oh no, not that piece of lettuce, not that one. So I those are some of the people that I have in the running, and I think it's something that I used to, of course, keep more of a strong track on is the actors and actresses that I sort of follow and kept an eye out for. But one of the exciting things I was actually finding when I did my morning pages this morning, I realized that because I haven't been keeping on top of those things, there's lots to enjoy. Like I could do little mini marathons on, any actor or actress that I enjoy and watch whatever they've done in the past sort of 6 years. It's probably pretty noisy. So, thinking how future ideas keep on happening, but I'm like, oh no, Shannon, focus on the 24-hour movie marathon, because that is pro tip, putting a damp paper towel in with your lettuce really helps extend its life. Produce tips aside, yeah, so but I'm just gonna like keep my eyes on the prize and focus on the marathon that I'm doing now and just note future projects to enjoy in the future. But yeah, so that's the plan for the day, watching something with my sisters and then watching one or two more movies tonight, and then I'll have to see how things go. Really sad that I think looking at it outside, it doesn't look good for getting out to the movies because we're right hovering around freezing, and it's very mucky and that's very slippery, and that is just a recipe for disaster. So I don't know. I'm not totally giving up hope, but I would say it's probably this is going to be where all of the movie watching happens for the 24-hour movie marathon. So anyway, I will be back in a bit and share thoughts on the first film with me and my sisters if they decide that they want to be on camera. We'll see if they're up for it. All right, be back soon. Fruit and veggies prepped so I can have healthy snacks and lunches and good stuff throughout. Hopefully, I'm sure I'll also have snacky snacks too. All right, it is time for movie number 1 on day 2 of the 24-hour movie marathon. I'm here with my sisters Jamie and Susie, and we are gonna watch A Wrinkle in Time. Woohoo! Yay! Okay, so we are midpoint in the movie and we are taking a hot chocolate break. So Jamie, what are you thinking of the film?
I'm loving it so far.
Yay! And then Susie, what do you think?
It's a dream.
Yay! So far so good. We're 41 minutes and 49 seconds in, so hopefully the remaining 1 hour and 8 minutes. Oh, time math!
No!
It will not be my downfall.
It's on theme.
It is on theme. Oh yeah, because it's A Wrinkle in Time.
Yes.
It is. So
but we don't have to be linear about it. So
not linear and not all in the shot. We're not gonna all get in the shot. I have to walk all the way to the other side of the room. So yeah, we're gonna be unlinear and enjoy the rest of the movie. Bye! Bye! So I forgot to film with my sisters at the end of A Wrinkle in Time, but our enthusiasm in the middle of the film was the same as our enthusiasm at the end of the film. We all loved it, and it was so great to see a fantasy / science fiction film with a female protagonist and to have women mentors, and it was just gorgeous. The art direction and all the styling was so great. I love the story. I have read the book. I've read the book a couple of times and I enjoyed it both times that I read it, and so it was great to see. I thought it was a really good interpretation of the story, and I really like the story. I think it's really powerful and it was really wonderful to see. So that was a total win, and I'm really glad that we saw it, and I'm really glad that we saw it together because I really wanted to see it, the three of us together, and so I kind of was like, don't see it, and I don't normally say that, like, I don't think I necessarily said that, but I was kind of like, I would really like to watch this all together. It was really, really special and magical to watch it all together, so I'm glad that we did that. And now I'm going to try to get in another film. I think I'll probably only get one more film in, and I was browsing through Hoopla and trying to see, I was looking at some of the classics. I thought maybe I'll watch something a little longer because I think I'll only get one other thing in, and although this only has it as 2 hours, IMDb has it as 2.5 hours, so I'm not sure how long it'll end up being. And that is, oh, you can't super see it there, and it is Becket, and I will change so you can see a little bit more. So here we are. I have decided to watch Becket, which stars Peter O'Toole and Richard Burton and was nominated for 12, count 'em, 12 Academy Awards. It actually only won one award, and that was for Best Writing. It was nominated, another one that was nominated for Best Picture but did not win Best Picture, so that just keeps on cropping up. Anyway, so I'm going to watch Becket. I do not know much about it. This describes it as a period piece following King Henry II during medieval England, and he has a friend named Becket, and it sounds like their friendship kind of has some rockiness and we shall see. We shall see. So I hope I like it. So I've just started this. Wow, I don't have any lights on. And I've just started this, and it does look like it's going to be 2.5 hours. So that is quite a long one. So I certainly am only going to get one film in tonight, but it's good to get all those hours in. And yeah, so this is going to be a long one. I might need to have an intermission to make a second cup of tea. Coffee. All right, it is now the morning of day 3 of the 24-hour movie marathon. I think it's about 10:40 in the morning, and I did not come back last night because I did not finish watching Becket. So my plan to watch a 2.5-hour film, because I'm only going to get one film in, unfortunately backfired because I only got through the first hour and a half of it. So I probably should just pick something shorter. But also one of the reasons why I picked it was that it was late, and so sometimes I don't want to watch like a big bombastic like actiony or horror movie with lots of screaming and stuff like that late at night. So anyway, so I picked a dramatic one, and it was dramatic and it was quieter, and I just fell asleep. I tried several times. I got to sort of the same point and I would fall asleep, and I would rewind, and I got to the same point again, I would fall asleep and rewind. So anyway, it is where it gets a bit more dramatic in terms and quieter, and there's lots of chanting, like church singing, chanting, and the gong of the church bell and stuff, and that part it put me to sleep every time. So anyway, like, because it was so like, I don't know, it was like such an atmospheric thing. Anyway, so I did not make it through, but I am enjoying it so far, and I will get to the rest of it probably later today. But as it looks like the weather has gotten a bit better out there, and it is above freezing, it's 2 to 4 degrees, and it looks like the sidewalks are clear, so it looks like, yes, it is a go for getting out to the movies, and so I am going to go and see Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them Too, and I am so excited. I'm going to go with my sisters and my brother-in-law, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It just came out this weekend here, and so yeah, so that should be a lot of fun, and as much as I could watch the last hour of Becket before I leave, I'm too excited and distracted to do that, so I think I'm going to do some chores type stuff that I need to do, so I don't have to do them when I come home, or I don't have to do them tomorrow, and I'll get those out of the way, because once I get back, it's going to be like as many movies as I can watch till the end of the day. So there you go. Half of Becket was good, and up next is Fantastic Beasts, and I forgot to count up how much I've watched so far, but I don't know whether I'm going to count Becket until I've done it, so I will do some kind of math update, time math update in a while, and but that is where day 3 is starting. I think I'm at 5.5 hours. Maybe I'll do that and share how it's looking, and yeah, and so I'm excited to see what today brings, and get out there and watch a movie in the theater. Woohoo! It is official. Tickets have been purchased for Fantastic Beasts. I am so excited. Can't wait. Don't have to wait much longer. We'll be there soon. All right, I'm all bundled up and excited to go out to the movies. Yay! So thankfully it is not too bad out. There's definitely, you can see there is snow, but the ground is pretty clear. So that's really good. I have to be careful, so I'm not going to vlog on the way, but I will try and vlog a bit throughout. All right, we are on our way to the movies. Yay! Yay! On the way to the movie. This makes it look like we're across Canada. Going to the movies. Movie. Escalator number 2. Hi, Teeny. Escalator number 3. So, I like Oh my god. We have arrived. Popcorn. The movie's getting coffee, because that is what we do, right, Davey? Coffee! Quite busy here at the theater, lots of people lining up for popcorn, and we are going to head into the IMAX. I forgot that we were seeing it in IMAX. Alright, we are heading into the IMAX. I don't even recognize the poster. It's very different. Commercials are already happening, so I gotta turn my phone off, but just to get the scale of the theater, there you go. Okay, well, I am back from seeing Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, which I went to see with my sisters Jamie and Susie and my brother-in-law. We had a great time at the movies, and I think the general consensus is that it was enjoyable. However, it could have helped with a little clarity in terms of the storytelling. There were definitely things that were confusing, and it really tried to pack a lot in there, and I actually felt it was kind of like as much information as you would normally get like in 2 movies, and they're really building something big here, which is exciting, but I also, but a lot of it was kind of confusing. So it's also kind of one of the types of movies that I definitely will rewatch, and of course it's a Harry Potter world film, of course I'm going to rewatch it, but I actually didn't love the first Fantastic Beasts, so this one I enjoyed a lot more. I connected a lot more with the world, and there were lots of great surprises. I didn't know anything pretty much about this one, and I knew I would see it eventually. I didn't even necessarily expect to see it in the theater, and I love the original Harry Potter series, of course. But this one, it's unexpected because there's no books that you're coming for, so I have no idea what's going to happen. I had no idea what was going to happen. So yeah, overall enjoyable. There was actually one thing I wasn't expecting was there was a fair amount of both social and political commentary, and so I was like, whoa, this has a point of view. This has a perspective. What's it saying? Am I sure on what it's saying? Is it building up to something that it's going to be saying, or is it saying something now? So my brain was working on that level too, and that's not something I terribly am drawn to, and it's not something I like, especially with fantasy films. So I wasn't expecting that, especially because like Harry Potter, like the world of Harry Potter, I don't think of as the real world, even though it is. It always feels like elsewhere, like not Earth or anything like that, but like sort of a different time. And this is very specifically centered, like in a given year or a given place, and it is our world and our history. So that was a little like I didn't need that. But that's what the story is, so what can you do? Anyway, really happy to get out to the theater. I hope the footage that I did out and about worked. You never know how the sound is going to turn out for stuff like that, and I find it a bit intimidating to do stuff like that, so I'm glad that I did some. So I hope some of it makes the cut, and you get to see a little bit what it's like and what the theaters here are like, or at least that particular theater, which is the Young and Dundas Theater, is like. Yeah, and so that was a lot of fun. I have now only actually completed 2 of the 7 to 9 challenges. So I think the next movie I pick has to be something that hits one of the challenges, but I don't know what it's going to be. I'm going to rest a little bit and then make some food, and then I'm going to pick something that will hit one of the challenges, and who knows what that will be next. But I will come back and share what it is. So there you go. Okay, it is time for another film and another challenge, and for this time I'm going to go for the In Memory of challenge, and my first instinct with this one was to go with this film, and I kept on thinking, oh, I should pick something else. I've seen this movie a lot. The person in it's more of a singer than an actor, although they have acted in many films. But I keep on coming back to it, so I'm going to trust my gut, and I am going to go with, can't you tell which one it is? Let's move a little closer, and that is with Labyrinth. It's not, there we go. Labyrinth. Okay, doesn't pick up very well. So, yeah, I have this on Google Play. It was on sale at some point, and I love this movie. I love Labyrinth. And I'm speaking of the person who passed away, of course, is David Bowie. And yeah, so I have loved this movie ever since I first saw it. I don't remember if I saw it in the theater, actually, but I know we had it on VHS. And I know I wore that tape out. And, I even brought it during a ski day at school for all of us who didn't go skiing but couldn't learn anything because most people were skiing anyway. Tangent. So yeah, Labyrinth it is. and Labyrinth it will be, and I will be back after the movie. Okay, so I have finished watching Labyrinth, and it's so good. I just love this movie so much. I have watched it so many times over the years, and I loved it just as much as I always do. There was a couple of things I noticed about it this time in terms of just some things I sort of like. If people aren't familiar with Labyrinth, which to me feels like just shocking, but it's a fantasy movie. It was made in 1986, stars David Bowie as the Goblin King and Jennifer Connelly as a girl who reads a lot of fantasy and wishes her young brother, I think he's actually her stepbrother, but they never talk about that, and wishes her young brother to be taken away by the Goblin King, and the Goblin King takes the brother away, and she has to go save him. So, and there's some things that I really noticed this time around that I didn't pick up on before, including the fact that, and this is obvious, that it's an adventure story, like in the truest sense of that there's, a quest, she has to go save her brother, there are lots of puzzles, and which is actually a key part of an adventure story. And this one has tons of puzzles. It has riddles and things to logic out, as well as needing to have, and then in terms of adventure story, there's, lots of bravery is involved and finding some people to help you along the way and all of those kinds of things. So I loved it. I didn't, and there's so many moments that I looked forward to. And also, if you're, again, if you're unfamiliar with Labyrinth completely, it's directed by Jim Henson, who has, of course, also since passed away. And there are lots of puppets. There are lots of puppets, and there's not enough movie with puppets. There should be more movies with puppets, and lots of practical effects. And there's a couple of special effects, like visual effects that use like some green screen type stuff that don't hold up very well. But all of the practical effects do. And there's moments that I look forward to. Especially there's one where Sarah is trying to get into the labyrinth or further into the labyrinth, and she doesn't see that right in front of her she can move forward, but she doesn't see it. And like you can see it, like you can't really see it. It's a practical effect, using like paint and like just it's a physical effect, and you don't notice it until she actually walks through, and it is so amazing, and I look forward to that every time. And I look forward to the there's two sets of doors that talk, and I like both of those, and there's one logic problem with one of the sets of doors, and every time I try and figure out the logic of it, and there's been I think twice where I understood it, where I was like, oh, I get it this time. Where she asks that one door always tells the truth and one door always lies, and so she asks one of the doors a question to figure out which of the doors will lead to the center, to the castle, and which leads to certain death. And it's so brilliant, and I love every moment of it. Well, that's not true. I don't like, there's a dream sequence that I've never been fond of. I was like, okay, that's when it's time to get a snack. It's never, I didn't like it this time, never liked it. But everything else about it I loved. I love the puppets. I love, there's like hand puppets, there's this like hands talking, and it's so brilliant on so many ways, and it was a real joy to watch. So I'm really glad that I picked it for the In Memory of challenge, and I think now I am going to take on another challenge, and I haven't quite decided what I am going to watch next, but Labyrinth was a win, and I think I'm now at 9 hours and 27 minutes, so that's still a lot of hours to go. I can't quite read the clock, it's 8 something. And so I want to get at least 2 more, maybe 3 more films in today, because tomorrow's going to be a long, a long day, so I want to get a good amount of hours in today. So I will be back with my next pick, and it'll be a challenge pick, but I'm not sure which one yet, so we'll see. Labyrinth. Oh, love that movie. Okay, the next challenge I've decided to take on is the Speed Bump Challenge, which is to watch a film by a favorite director that is considered a flop, and it's open to interpretation what makes it a flop. Now, this movie, I did check on Box Office Mojo, but no production budget is listed, so I don't know whether or not it was a financial success or a flop. I think it only came out in limited release when it came out, so I think it's harder to tell with that. And but I checked Metacritic, and it's at a 40% by critics and 30 something by users, and IMDb have it at 5.7. So none of that is like super, compelling, but it is one of my favorite directors, so I want to see it anyway. And the movie is Only God Forgives, and this is from director. Wow, that was supposed to focus things. Did not focus things. Only God Forgives, and it is from writer-director Nicholas Winding Refn. R-E-F-N. Refn? I'm not sure. Never know how to pronounce his last name. If you are unfamiliar with him by name, he did the Pusher trilogy. He also did Valhalla Rising, and probably most popular of his films is probably Drive, which also stars Ryan Gosling as this one does. I loved Drive. I also loved Valhalla Rising, and I actually quite enjoyed the Pusher trilogy, even though I don't tend to like a lot of drug movies. But it was really interesting. Wow, that got horrible white balance there. Anyway, and horrible white balance again. Let's go with a different look. Anyway, so this is the one that I've decided to go with. It's only an hour and a half long, which means I should be able to get in at least one or maybe even 2 other movies tonight. I hope I like it. I do not know what it's about. It was an official selection at cons. That's the only thing the poster tells me. I don't want to, I'm gonna watch the movie, right now, so I don't want to, read any summaries, because they can often be spoilery. So hopefully I will like the movie, and we shall see very soon. And I had forgotten that this director, of course, also did Bronson with Tom Hardy. And I think that was actually the first film I saw that he directed. So, yeah, most of the films are harsh. All of the films are harsh. Good thing this one is short. Okay, so I just finished watching Only God Forgives, and that was really intense and very violent and highly stylized, which are the things, to be honest, that I definitely know are what you're getting yourself into when you watch a Nicholas Winding Refn film. Like all of his films are those 3 things, and have a good score. So this one was really intense, and I couldn't really. It took me a while to figure out like what the story was, and it's one where it's like the story is like only so important. Like so much is interesting stylistically and tonally and atmospherically. Like the story, I could sum up the story in like 2 lines, and it's not a kind of story that would draw me to watch the film. That's not why I'm going to be watching the film. And With this one, it was right from very early on, you know that you're dealing with people that are not nice, and it's weird because Ryan Gosling is the protagonist, but it's sort of all these things that happen around him and other things that other people do around him. He's a pretty inactive character, which is an interesting choice. And but it's also a bit of a strange choice to be following a character who's not always doing that much. So I don't know. I just it's one of those ones where I'm like, I don't like it's I'm glad that I watched it. I liked it more than Neon Demon. I forgot that he did Neon Demon. That's the most recent film of the directors that I've seen, and it's the only one that I didn't enjoy. This one, I don't know where I'd fall. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, because it is extremely violent and has some very strong language, more than the normal strong language. And one of the scenes was so violent, I didn't actually understand what I was seeing. It was the after effect of something, and it took me a while to actually understand what I was looking at. That's how violent it was. And it sort of starts from something disturbing anyway, so then you just it kind of desensitizes you because you kind of feel like, well, you know, we're starting with something that's really not redeemable. So where do you go from there if you're not going redemption? Because that's not where this film is going, and it just gets more and more amped up. So it's one that if you're gonna watch a film like that, then go ahead and watch this. But I think just generally, if you're not accustomed or used to or are affected by really strongly violent films, it's not one to watch. It's not one to start with. But stylistically, oh my gosh, like this man is a genius. Like it's so hard because it's like the content is so harsh and the film like is gorgeous, like absolutely gorgeous, really bright colors, fascinating blocking, fascinating framing, great choices. But there's also like if you're it's also very art house because it's like there's a fair amount of slow paced, like slow walking, slow intentional walking, like that happens like throughout the entire film. You're just watching someone walk for like a pretty solid period of time, and I can understand like going like, why are we watching this person walk so slowly and slow intentionally? But but for me it really worked. I love the walking in this film. And I love the use of color in this film and the use of light and the use of framing, and that it made some different choices. It made very different choices in lots of situations. It was not did not do the expected, that's for sure. Even for films that are very violent, even for films that are pushing limits, it still made different choices. So that was really interesting to me, but it also was very disturbing. So from that front, it's hard to recommend. But I'm not here to recommend films. I'm just reacting to them. So yeah, so I am glad that I watched it. I can understand why it's not, widely received, because this is for a very, niche audience, a highly violent art house film that is what you're going into, and with each of those you're looking at a sliver, of an audience. But I do think it was well done. So yeah, so I think actually if you haven't seen anything by this director, I would probably recommend watching Drive first because that's got a really strong, like centered narrative. Ryan Gosling is in that as well, and he plays a similar-ish character in that. Oh, it was his character has a similar. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how similar they are. In some ways, they're very different, but it's a quieter character generally. And yeah, so it is a bit of a challenging one to talk about, obviously, because I'm continuing to be vague. But I am glad that I did watch it. But I think I gotta watch something like a little lighter, definitely a little lighter, and maybe a little happier. I was gonna go and watch the rest of Becket, but that one's pretty intense too. So I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe I'll watch that because I only have an hour left of that, and then I'll watch something like a little fun. So maybe that's what I'll do. We'll see. We'll see what I do. So I finished watching Becket, and I only had an hour left, and but it's 2.5 hours long, so it's a long movie, and it's a bit of a weird one to watch over time because it is not a super involved story, but it is a complicated relationship friendship. Follows King Henry II, who is a Norman king of England, and he has a close friend, Becket, who is a Saxon, and he is very um, invested in him and ends up sort of making him rise through the ranks of the church, and to the point where they actually end up being at odds with each other, because the church is the only place at the time that has any um, power power of the same strength as the king. And it's kind of like, if it was made now, it would be, and it still is, like, from when it is, it's kind of like a bromance. Like, it really is about a really strong um, male friendship, but more so from the king side to Becket than Becket to him. Although I think that's the challenge of Becket's character, is that he doesn't love, but the king loves him, and so they have this struggle between each other. Um, that they're very loyal to each other. Loyal, I don't know if that's the right term, but they have a really strong relationship, but they are at odds. And it's also interesting because it's like, because the king is the king, but Becket is someone he's known since he was younger. Like, Becket always calls him my prince often. So, it's a bit different knowing someone from before they came into the power. Although, of course, being a prince is still, like, very powerful. So I did really enjoy it. The great performances by both the leads. The king is played by Peter O'Toole, and Becket is played by Richard Burton. So it's just amazing. And it's also, one of the cool things was that it's not often we get to see a film outside of sort of Shakespeare where someone does, like, a monologue, like, or a soliloquy, where it's to the audience. It's for our benefit to see them contemplate their struggle, or have a dialogue with themselves or with a higher power, or wanting to give this dialogue to someone else who maybe isn't there or can't be there, that kind of thing. We don't see that outside of Shakespeare, I find. If you see that in other films, what films are you watching? Because I think it's always a great moment of, it often can be a great moment of acting, and this film, one of the great things about it really is honestly the acting. Although it did have some challenges. One was how long it was, and also, like, this is from 1964, and it is historically set. And they actually talk about, like, one of the ways they open the film is how they talk about, basically, that they're drinking buddies and they used to go out drinking and wenching. So one of the challenges of this film is that there are not a lot of roles of women in this one, and certainly not any that are not wives or wenches, pretty much. But it is true, there aren't that many outside of Becket and King Henry. There aren't many male roles that are that prominent, like, throughout the film. There are some, but you know, it really is about the two of them. So I really enjoyed it, wenching aside. Um, so yeah, so I'm glad that I watched it. I'm including that. I don't know if I mentioned, I'm including that as a classic that I've never seen, although it again hits the Oscar nominated for Best Picture but didn't win, because that also was the case with this one. It had 12 nominations, including both of the actors for lead actor. And I can see that, especially with Richard Burton. Peter O'Toole, though, like, oh my gosh, he's so great. Like, he's so great, but he's such a scene stealer. Like, he just, like, he's so vivacious, and this character is very petulant. So you're very drawn to him, but he had some great monologue type stuff too. But Richard Burton was just like, wow. Wow. So that was really great. But now it's pretty late. It's after midnight, and I would like to get one more movie in. But I'm trying to find something that's like an hour and a half that's not a horror movie. and or a comedy and like we're in an hour and a half action movies. That's really what I feel like watching. So I can't decide if I want to watch some of something and then continue it tomorrow. I don't really want to do that, but I am having major decision fatigue. So I don't know. I'll probably just come back tomorrow and say whether or not I actually ended up watching something because if I sit here scrolling any longer, it's gonna drive me bananas. I just need to start watching something. So or call it a day. Either could happen. I'm now up to 13 hours and 25 minutes, so I have 10 and a half hours left to watch. So getting something, even a short film in today would be good. So hopefully I can manage that. It's been all over the place. I've had fantasy movies, I don't even know what you would call Only God Forgives. I guess art house. I would call it art house. Um, classics. And what else is there? Labyrinth. Yeah, Fantastic Beasts, Labyrinth, Only God Forgives, and Becket. So yeah, so that's a lot for one day, but I'm willing to get one more in. So fingers crossed I can find something that fits the bill, and I'll probably come back tomorrow and share a little bit about it, or I'll go to sleep and watch lots and lots and lots and lots tomorrow. So we shall see. So possibly day 3 in the books, possibly more, hard to say, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, it is now day 4 of the 24-hour movie marathon. It is about 10 in the morning, just before 10. I have a full pot of coffee, which I am definitely going to need because there are a lot more films to watch. I didn't finish. I had some decision fatigue last night, which has plagued me several times during this marathon. And so I ended up not watching, not being able to decide, and then by the time I could decide, it felt like too late. Does this happen to you? It happens to me so frequently. Anyway, so I decided not to watch something and just to get to sleep a bit earlier. So today will be the grand push for the rest of the time for the 24-hour movie marathon. I think I have 10 hours and 3 minutes left, I think, or maybe 10 and a half hours. It's a lot. It's a lot to do in one day. And I do need to take some breaks to do some, house chore maintenance, email, check in with people kind of stuff. So I can't just sit for the entire time, although for 10 to 10 and a half hours I will be. So I am going to get some of that maintenance-y stuff done and out of the way, but I hope to be watching a movie by 10:30, and then take things from there. So I'm glad there's coffee. Whoa! So I have updated my tracker with the movies that I saw on day 3. Fantastic Beasts, Labyrinth, Only God Forgives, and Becket. And so that takes me 12 hours is the halfway point. So I still have lots to go on this final day. So it's time to get started. So I am ready to sit down and watch my first film on the 4th day here, and it's 11 o'clock, so I'm half an hour later than I expected. What can you do? And I have decided to go with one of the bonus challenges for this one and watch a silent film. And for that, I am picking something from this 50 horror classics collection, and it might actually be like what's on the cover, and that is the Phantom of the Opera, which you can see, there you go, the Phantom of the Opera, and it is the silent version from, I think it's 1925, with Lon Chaney Sr. So, Phantom of the Opera. I have read the book. I read it a couple years ago with my buddy Patty. Hi, Patty! And yeah, and I haven't I think I might have rewatched the 2000 and whatever version, that was really close to the, oh my gosh, the musical, like the Broadway musical, which I'm very familiar with. So, and that's how I started, like way in the wrong direction, not the wrong direction, but a different direction for this one. Is I am very familiar with the Broadway musical in terms of the music, and I have seen it on stage once or possibly twice, and seen the film adaptation of the musical, and then read the book, and now I am going to watch the silent film. So I have a feeling I should hopefully be able to follow the story. I don't think that'll be a problem for this one. It'll be interesting to see what it's like. So I haven't watched a silent film in quite a while. So here we go. And it says from the celebrated novel by Gaston Leroux. So I hope this is good. We shall see. I think I picked the wrong movie. Nope, this is scene one. That's a good place to start. Oh, wow. That is a rough. Oh, here we go. It's coming into focus. And has music. Excellent. There's dance. I didn't know there would be dance. Okay, so I am back and I finished watching Phantom of the Opera, the 1925 version, silent version, although the version I had music, and I don't know how common that is, like whether I know The Passion of Joan of Arc. I know that one you can get it silent or you can get it with an audio track, and I think there's multiple audio tracks and it's Criterion and all of those things. So it's very special and particular and probably one of the most famous or maybe most watched these days silent films. I don't know. What's your most watched silent film? But we don't tend to watch a lot of silent films, at least I don't, and so I don't know how common it is to have a soundtrack. It was cool to have music throughout a Phantom of the Opera, but it was a little lulling at times because it didn't always like there were certain times that it went with the scene and stuff like that, but it was often just very dramatic music, and to have that for an entire hour and 46 minutes made it sort of like a little hard to build up to and come down from and build up to, so it just sort of felt the same. So that was a bit of a challenge. Some of the things I liked about it and with silent film is that you have to interpret what's going on. Like they put up title cards or like cards with some dialogue, but there was definitely dialogue scenes that went on without them. So you had to interpret what was going on, and it's all very dramatic and lots of like wide eyes and looking this way and looking that way, and you see the whites of people's eyes a lot. And if you happen to be unfamiliar with the story of the Phantom of the Opera, it is set at a Paris opera house where there is a phantom. There is someone who lives in the shadows of the opera house, and he takes a shine to one of the young women who is an understudy, and her name is Christine Daae, and he threatens basically the opera house to have her perform instead of Carlotta, who is the lead. And then, as things progress, he tries to woo her. Not very well in this version. Like the Broadway show is very much more of a romance, but in this version, it's pretty much, hey, look, I gave you this, so love me and, be my slave. And it's like, well, no, no, but it was 1925. But still, this is a story from the book, which is from 18 something. So I did enjoy this version, but I did find it hard to keep attention because the music being sort of dramatically the same a lot was hard, and I was tired, and I had the lights down because it was very dark, and so I wanted to see as much as I could. So I had a hard time staying focused. So maybe watching it first thing was not the best idea, but anyway, but I did enjoy it, and I'm glad that I watched it. It was good, and I was right. It was one of the this is Lon Chaney Sr. from the film. Although I gotta say, it is really challenging I'm sure it was really challenging as an actor, because for most of the film, when he plays the Phantom, he wears a mask. I think that's also one of the hugely famous things about the part. And the mask comes to here, and it has like a veilish thing over his mouth, so you don't even see his mouth. And I don't know exactly what they did and if it was different at different times of the film, because I felt like you were getting the expression of his eyes, but like just the whites of his eyes, like not the lid, because when he took off the mask, the lids are very, and the under eye is very like he hasn't gotten a lot of sleep, right? They're very dramatic, and so like sometimes I felt like I was literally just seeing a mask, including the eyes. And there was this one crazy disturbing scene where there's people are trying to ask about the Phantom. Some people believe in the Phantom, some people don't believe in the Phantom, and so some people are trying to, like, they're asking someone who works on props and stuff about where he is. And while the guy is describing the Phantom and how he lurks in the shadows and all this stuff. He's holding this prosthetic head, and it's like just the head, and he's holding it to the side, and it was very disturbing. Like, it was much more disturbing than the Phantom stuff. And of course this, has a sort of sad commentary on how people who are disfigured, or have differences, are perceived. Of course, this film also, or this version of the story, this story, like, it's also the Phantom is doing bad things, right? Like, he's coercing Christine, he is threatening people, and like, so as opposed to in the musical, you're much more sympathetic to him, and because it's much more of a romance. So I gotta say that's challenging, and it's more of its time, and I think we hopefully don't, um, like, discount people based on what they look like at all, or at least, or as much, or like, I don't like, it's one of those stories that I don't think you can get away with now. Hopefully not. And because it's disturbing and it's wrong to judge people that way. Of course, even just judging him by his actions, not his appearance. His actions speak very loudly, and he's not a nice guy. But was he a nice guy before? They don't have any backstory in this. I don't know. I imagine in the musical they talk about it a little bit, because I feel like I have a sense of his backstory. But in this, they do actually. That's not true. They do give a backstory, but they don't say why he looks the way he does. So yeah, so that's always complicated, to especially when it's something that's not current. Like, this movie is, like, it's almost 100 years old. Like, it's 93 years old. Is that, did I do the math right? 20 less 8, 92 years old. And that's not right. It can't be even, it's got to be odd. Anyway, so it's between 90 and 100 years old. And yeah, so that was my bonus for the silent pick. I'm going to actually continue with the bonus situation. We gotta talk about the bonus situation. Name that quote. Name that movie. And I am going to watch a musical. This is kind of a musical. It's music related, and it's long. And I am going to watch Straight Outta Compton. And so this came out in 2015, and it is about the group NWA from the, gosh, was it the 80s or the 90s? Mid 80s. Wow, time, it just keeps on ticking. So I am going to watch this. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I know it was extremely well received. Oh my goodness, could it be another Oscar nominated film that didn't win? It's possible. It's possible. I'm sure I would, well, actually, I don't know. I will check, and then I will know, but I will not check during the movie. And I broke my don't look at IMDb during Phantom of the Opera. I did. I couldn't remember who played the Phantom in the current-ish one, like the one from 2004. So I had to look it up. It's Gerard Butler, so you don't have to look it up. So yeah, Resistance was down. It wasn't about the film I was watching, so maybe I only lose half a mark. Anyway, Straight Outta Compton is next. I am looking forward to it. I've only heard good things about it. It is a long one, so I am going to make up some time for this one. And I'm currently at 15 hours and 11 minutes. And Straight Outta Compton is just shy of 2.5 hours, so that will get me close to 18 hours. It's still a fair amount of hours to go. So there we go. One down and another bonus to go. So Straight Outta Compton was in the running for Oscars, but it was a nominee for Best Original Screenplay. However, it did win the AFI for Movie of the Year, and it won lots of awards. 28 wins and 40 nominations. So here we go, Straight Outta Compton. And as it is lunchtime, I made lunch. Small sandwich, big salad, bunch of grapes, and coffee to enjoy with Straight Outta Compton. Let's go. Okay, so I just finished watching Straight Outta Compton, and it was amazing. Hands down, amazing. I was so impressed. It is just as good as everyone says. It's so nice when that happens. It's so frustrating when it's like everyone loves it, and you're like, not the case. It was amazing. If you're unfamiliar with it, it follows the group NWA from the mid 80s to early 90s and primarily focuses on Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, and Ice Cube. And no wonder the actor who plays Ice Cube looks so much like him. It really kept me centered in the film. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm looking at Ice Cube. Well, it's Ice Cube's son. So how amazing is that? That in a biopic with Ice Cube, like having you or your child play you in a biopic, like that's astonishing. That's so cool. And he was great. He was so great, as was the guy who played Dr. Dre. Man, I felt for that guy. Like his, like, that actor's emotional capacity, I was with him every step of the way. Like you could just really feel it. And I did feel like he was the sort of emotional anchor of the film, and Ice Cube was the slap in the face of reality of the film. And Eazy-E was a little harder. He was a little harder to access, I would actually say, as a character. I felt like I didn't know him as well and for me as an artist, I don't know him as well as I know Ice Cube and Dr. Dre in terms of their music and stuff. Although the music was so great, and like for me, it's kind of strange when things like, when you can, like, because it's nostalgic now. And I remember when a lot of this went down, when they came out on the scene, like how people reacted to their songs, whether people loved them, whether people were scared of them, whether people were concerned, like, and there was all of the controversy in terms of the concerts, and whether or not they were going to play certain songs, whether or not they were legally allowed to say certain things, if they were going to take on these issues, if they were going to take it on. And I would actually argue that this is actually a musical, because I'm using it for that category. And a musical is a film that where it tells the narrative through song. So I think it's not a huge leap to say that this is a musical. Like, it's a biopic at heart. It is telling the story of real people, but it also, a big theme of this is how they are sharing what they see in life and the injustice they see in life through their music, and how it's a commentary on life. So that, like, the lyrics are the narrative that they are spelling out and sharing to the world. So yeah, this was great. It was so good. It was pretty long. I'm a little like, yeah, because it wasn't quite long enough to get as my long film, which needs to be over an hour and 70 minutes. And I am going to go straight into my long film. I'll show it. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's a Palme d'Or winner. And so I will show that in a second. But Straight Outta Compton was excellent, highly recommended. Although, just fair warning, there's lots of coarse language, there's a fair amount of nudity, and there's also violence, all of which was contextual, none of which felt gratuitous. It all felt like it was very grounded in what was going on and made sense and wasn't glamorized. And that's actually another theme in the film too. So I appreciated it so much. I, like, on so many levels, and the acting was great and the story was great, and like there were so many things that just it was were just so very impressive about the film. So I'm really glad that I picked it. It has been on my list probably, it came out in 2015, so it's probably been on my Netflix list for 2 years. And I've been like, I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled looking for, I can't remember, there was something in particular I was looking for, and I was like, Straight Outta Compton, I want to watch that. So so I picked it. So, and it was great. So all right, on to my long one, which I hope I can get in before I have a show that I want to watch at 9 o'clock. I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it has really long credits. So yeah, let's get to the next one. I will show you in one moment. Okay, Winter Sleep is going to be my long film. It doesn't say the time there, but it is over 3 hours. It's a Palme d'Or winner. It's semi-recent. I don't know if I can show. Can I see more? Can I see? I would like to know more. 196 minutes, and it's a drama. And so there's a little description. I'm not going to read it because I'm going to go right into watching it over here, over there. I will resist watching Supernatural. Okay, so I have now finished watching Winter Sleep, which was my pick for a movie that is over 170 minutes long. 170 minutes translates to 2 hours and 50 minutes. Winter Sleep is actually 3 hours and 16 minutes. So it is a really, really, really long movie. And I unfortunately did not make it to the end of the movie before I needed to take a break and watch my show. I needed to watch Charmed, and I needed to also get my physiotherapy in. So I took a break for that, and I was like 20 minutes from the end, and then I went back to the movie. So it's not the best. It's not the best, especially since like it's such a long movie and there's so much like build up and stuff. But like it was okay. Time is finite. I knew I was cutting it close, and that's one of the things that I have learned throughout this marathon is that it usually takes longer than the runtime to watch a movie if you need to take a break or anything like that. So yeah, learning. So Winter Sleep is a Turkish film from 2014. It won the Palme d'Or. It won a bunch of awards, and it's actually on the IMDb top 250. It's like 246, but it's on there. And it's funny because I do glance through that list occasionally because I did make a point to watch all the ones that I hadn't seen already many years ago. So now I've seen one more, and I do try and look at it occasionally and catch up on the ones that I've missed. So anyway, so that's kind of just like funny side note trivia movie type stuff. But yeah, so Winter Sleep is a Turkish film. It is a drama. It is a drama. This is about character. This is about ideas. This is about philosophy, life, these kinds of things. And it's set in a remote-ish area. There's an inn and also nearby town, village, and it centers on a man who owns an inn and also is a landlord, but he leaves most of the business side of things to other people. He is they don't say retired actor, but they always say that he used to act and he now writes. And he also lives there with both his wife and his sister live there as well. So it's it took me a while to get centered into this one because I was trying to figure out like what the philosophy was like tonally like the art direction and the acting and the tone are all engaging, and I was with the film from right from the opening, but the I was trying it's interesting to me, and I'm gonna have to look up people's reactions to the film because I'm curious as to what what or if there is a sort of like philosophical point of view on the film. Like, are they trying to make a statement on something, because I'm not quite sure. I think there is, but I'm not sure I figured out what it was. But what I loved about it and why I think this is the case is there were several rather long philosophical discussions between the characters. And I'm talking long. Like I was waiting for a break to like go get a glass of water, and I'm like watching the scene, and I'm like watching the scene and watching the scene, and it just keeps going, and there's just back and forth, lots of dialogue to the different characters talking about this, not letting something go, working not a problem, but like redefining, re-clarifying, and trying to get their point across. And I actually found that extremely engaging because I love conversations like that about life, about philosophy, about point of view, and there was a big theme, and one philosophical question posed on not taking action and the effect of that. And so I'm trying to figure out if that was the through line through the film, and I'm not quite sure, to be honest. And I think I'm a little tired, which and after like it's my third movie today and my my 10th movie over the past couple of days, so like sometimes it's hard to like maintain focus, but I found it really engaging. The acting was really good. The writing was great. But I did find there were some challenges because I did find the protagonist was a little like he wasn't unlikable, but he was a little like aloof in some things. Like he left decisions to other people, but then sometimes he would really push his will, and it was it was surprising, and it was imposing, and it was uncomfortable. And so it's so weird because it's like so many times like I don't care, you know. And it's like and a lot, and there was also a discussion about money because he was left this land, the inn and the tenants, like the properties, from his father. And so he doesn't have to worry about money, but there are lots of people near and not so near around him that don't have a lot, that are struggling. And do you do something or do you not do something? And so yeah, like so that was a question that was posed. And it's a philosophical question. And I didn't always agree with how certain characters responded to that. So yeah, so it was an interesting and engaging one. If you've seen it, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I don't, it's not one that I know of lots of people talking about. I ended up watching it, I rented it from Google Play, so that's how I got it. And which was great. And although I did lose my internet for like 2 minutes, and I was like, 2 minutes, 10, and it was 10 minutes from the end, so I was a little frustrated about that. But I did get it in, so so I was happy to finally get there. But now I am hungry and I am sleepy, and not totally sleepy, but just tired. I think I probably just need food, and it's like 10 to 11. And with winter sleep, I am now up to 20 hours and 53 minutes. So that leaves me just needing 3 hours and 7 minutes left. So if I had like a 3 hour and 7 minute movie, I'd be fine. But I think I'm going to try and get two short ones in. And the next challenge that I'm going to take on is going to be the a nomination, a Best Picture nominee that didn't win. Even though I've already hit this challenge accidentally with both Hell or High Water and with Becket, I still am going to go with my original pick for this movie, or for this category, and that is Lady Bird, because it is on Netflix and I've only heard good things about it, and I just can't wait to see it. And I can't believe it's taken me this long. It's one of those things that I kind of feel like, like any weekend I should just be okay, whatever I'm super excited about that just hit Netflix, I should watch that, because this, I'm sure I felt that way about this movie like months ago and haven't seen it yet. But now I have the opportunity to do it, so I'm going to put dinner in the oven and start this. It's only an hour and 33 minutes, so after that I just need, I think, an hour and like an hour and 40 minutes or something. So I'm gonna be only left with a movie with a favorite actor or actress, which I did not think was going to be the last and or hardest. But next up is Lady Bird. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see it. So yeah, so that's going from Turkish rural area to, I don't even know what this is about, other than I'm pretty sure it's set in the States. It says East Coast. I don't want to read the description. But yeah, so Lady Bird and dinner is next. Time for Lady Bird. So excited. So I'm about half an hour into Lady Bird, and my dinner is now ready. Got some chicken and some salad, and oh my goodness, this movie is fantastic. I am absolutely loving it. I'm so glad I got to fit it in. It is just so, so good. So I'm gonna eat dinner, watch the rest of the movie, and I'll be back when I am done. So I just finished watching Lady Bird, and it was amazing. It was so good. It's a coming of age story, and I have not seen a coming of age story that with a female protagonist that is like this, and I am so glad that it exists. Like, it's just so refreshing to see. And it's weird to look at the description on Netflix isn't bad, but the description on IMDb wasn't quite like, it's like, it's close, and you think that that's kind of what it's about, but it's a little off. Um, and yeah, so I loved it. I loved it. I watched this for, it's was a Best Picture nominee that didn't win. It was up for 5 Oscars, didn't win any, but overall IMDb listed as winning over 100 film awards. Well deserved. Well deserved. It is. it is so refreshing, and the acting was so good. A lot of it is follows a girl in high school who wants to go to college elsewhere. She wants somewhere where there's culture. She wants to be somewhere that it's different, and and she has a really challenging relationship with her mom, and her mom is very focused on money and how to make the best of what they have, and they butt heads a lot. And I think that relationship was just so well done, and I didn't even recognize the woman who played her mom as Jackie from Roseanne. I didn't recognize her at all, and it was really intense, but really, I just like they really got it. Like they really got that kind of relationship right. And some of the things that I love about the film are like that she doesn't do all the right things or make all the right choices, and she doesn't make all the wrong choices, and she just like it's just life. Like it's not it's I don't know, there's just something about it that just felt so oddly refreshing, um, and normal, like, and without a particular agenda. Like, it just felt like, yeah, like she's frustrated. She wants to do stuff, and she just tries stuff, and like, I don't know. I loved it. I really, really loved it. Um, yeah, and but it's now after 1 o'clock on Sunday, and I have to wake up in like 7 hours, less than 7 hours, and I have to read 60 pages of a book. So I don't think I'm going to get another movie in tonight. This Ladybird takes me to 22 hours and 26 minutes, which is very close to 24 hours. So I don't know whether I'm going to call it here. In some ways, this is a great film to end on. This is the film I planned to end on, or if somehow I can, read 60 pages and not feel like I need more than 4 hours sleep, I might try and sneak in like a 1 hour and 40 minute like on my phone while I'm like lying in bed. It could happen. Or I might try and watch something tomorrow night or something. I don't know. I'll come back and wrap things up. But I think it's unlikely that I'm gonna get an hour and 35 minute or more film in tonight because I'm tired, and that's a lot of movie watching. And there's been lots of good stuff today. Everything today was good, and I'll come back and I will figure out either I'll get one more movie in or I'm gonna call it here, but I will come back and do something to sort of wrap things up. So, but I am a bit on the tired side of things, and but Lady Bird was great. Oh, it was great. I've seen so many great movies, and this has just been so much fun. And now I feel like I'm signing off. I'm not. I will come back. And but I'm just really tired. I'm really tired. Yeah, that's a lot of movies. That's a lot of movies. That's a lot of time. So, okay, signing off for right now, and I'll be back soon. So it is now day 5 of the 24-hour movie marathon, and gave myself 4 days for this, and I realized I would rather go to 5 days and get to the 24 hours than leave it at 22 and a half hours. So I have picked one more movie. I also have one more challenge that I didn't complete, which was to watch something with one of your favorite actors or actresses in it. So I have picked that movie, and it is what I'm going to watch today, and then I will hit 24 hours. So here, I'll show you what the movie is. So the final movie will be 1,000 Times Goodnight. I'm watching this via Canopy, and this stars Juliette Binoche. That's the back of Juliette Binoche's head. And it is a drama, and she plays a war photographer. It also stars Nicholas Coster-Waldau, who of course plays Jaime Lannister on Game of Thrones. And this film is also known as Tusenganger Got Not. I guess it's in English and Norwegian. So there we go. World cinema, independent cinema. And yeah, just shy of 2 hours. That will get me to 24. So I have now finished my final movie for the 24-hour movie marathon with watching 1000 Times Goodnight. And wow, this was a heavy movie. I thought it could be a heavy movie going in. It stars Juliette Binoche as a war photographer, and it sort of depicts, it centers on her character and between her, basically her career life and her family life, what it is like when she is out there working, what things are like when she's at home, how different they are, how that affects the people around her, what drives her to do the things she does and to have to make the choices she makes. And I thought it was really interesting. And but it was really hard, like not only the war photography aspect of it, but the drama element and the family dynamics and the relationships were tough. They were often very tough. And but they really went there. Like I was really from that perspective, I was happy that it didn't shy away from stuff and it showed that things can be complicated and complex and like without easy answers, and how things can shift and change and how that can be slow and how that can be fast and all of those things. So this really was a drama, and which I realized, you know, from watching a few dramas during this 24-hour movie marathon, is I very rarely pick drama. I tend to watch genre, which is anything not drama, not comedy. So I watch pretty much everything else: fantasy, science fiction, action, adventure. Um, you know, not exclusively, but like almost always, if there's a pick between a drama film and, you know, a fantasy film, I'm going to pick fantasy. If there's science fiction versus drama, I am going to pick science fiction, and I am almost never going to pick comedy. Although I did work one in, I think Lady Bird in a lot of ways is a like it is. I don't know. Actually, I think it's more of a dramedy in between the two. But anyway, gotten off topic into genre talk, which is so easy to do. So this was a good watch, and I'm glad that I got to watch something through Canopy because like they have such a great selection. And although I know I did a little pre-clip that said that showed that this was like in English and Norwegian, and there was no Norwegian. It was a Norway, Ireland, Sweden co-production. But as far as I could tell, there was no Norwegian. It was in English or it was untranslated. Like there was, you know, there was some dialogue that was not translated, but it wasn't um, like super. It wasn't Norwegian, and I don't know where that came from. I guess it was just because it was, you know, it's a Norway, Ireland, Sweden co-production, or I don't know. Maybe it was dubbed in Norwegian or something. I don't know where that was coming from. So anyway, but I did really enjoy it. It was really heavy, so I it's kind of a weird way to end things off. But I do think I'll come back and share just a little, I don't know, summary or something. But I need a little time to sort of process the films just a little bit because that is a lot of them. That puts me at 12 films in 5 days. It's a long time since I've done that. I used to be able to do that all the time, all the time. And so it was really interesting experience to watch that many movies. And I think both on day 3 and day 4 I watched 4 movies, which again I used to do that all the time. That used to be standard fare for me, and it was really challenging to do. It was worth it, but it was challenging to do. And I saw some really great films, and I saw some films that again I wouldn't normally pick, which is really wonderful to do that, to expand and, you know, make different choices. And yeah, and so there was lots to enjoy throughout the entire experience. And one really funny note actually is in this film there's someone, and it was hard to determine who it was. There were, I don't know if it was like her sister or her brother's wife or just a neighbor or just a friend. But anyway, one of the women in the film, who wasn't in it that long, but she was a friend or friend type person, friend or family person, it was actually also from The Commitments. So I have an actor connection from The Commitments. It was, I think she played Natalie in The Commitments, the long dark hair singer was also in this film. So it's kind of nice to have something that bridges the first and last film, and it was totally unexpected. And I recognized her, and like this film is from like 3 years ago, and like The Commitments is from like 1991 or something. So it's also nice to have that sort of time bridge between the two, the first and the last film that I watched for the marathon. So that was really cool. So there you have it. There are 12 films that I watched in 10, not 10 days, 12 films in 5 days. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I am so glad that I was able to finally sit down and do this. Sit down, over lie down, get out there. Got to the theater, didn't expect that. Lots of unexpected things happened and different choices happened throughout. And I think like being flexible is helpful for that kind of thing, and go with the flow and just keep working on it, and that really helped. So as I said, I'll come back and do some kind of something, and but otherwise it's been great so far, and I have had a blast. And if I don't have enough energy to come back to do something, thank you for watching. Big shout out, of course, to Ryan Chataway for doing this challenge year after year after year, and also to Luke of Razor Wire Reviews, who does an amazing job doing his 24-hour movie marathon every year. I always enjoy watching. So there you go. Hopefully back with more, or possibly not. This is going to be a long video regardless. So thanks so much. All right, it is time to wrap things up for the 24-hour movie marathon. It took me 5 days, 8 challenges, 7 to 9 challenges, 12 films, 12 coffees, 1 snowfall, 1 hot chocolate, 2 naps, unintentional, to get to 24 hours. And 24 hours I got to indeed. In fact, if we look at my little time tracker here, I got to the whole 24. But as it turns out, I got to exactly 24 hours and 24 minutes. Numerical alliteration. I don't know if it's alliteration, if it's not phonetic. 24/24 is alliteration. So I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, especially to this very, very, very end of the very long video I'm sure that this is going to end up being. I have wanted to do this since 2012 when Ryan first announced the challenge, and I am so happy that I just kept on trying and kept on sticking with it, and here we are in 2018, and I actually did it. I did it. I did the 24-hour movie marathon, and I am so happy that I did. I watched lots of great films, some okay films, and lots of films that got me thinking, and I just had a really good time. So I hope that this was an enjoyable video to watch, albeit long, and I am looking forward to watching more movies, and just like all of the things. And sleeping, sleeping, and maybe reading and watching some TV. It's really weird to watch like film for like so much film and so much it's weird not to do the other things I normally do, like read and watch TV and watch YouTube. Not watching YouTube, that was hard. But I did it, and it was worth it. I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed watching it. So there we go, 24-hour movie marathon in the books. So exciting. It was a wonderful time. Thank you so much for watching.